Thanks for listening to the STEM Factually podcast. I'm Dr. Marissa Civic, and today we're going to be doing another STEM Stacks episode about everyday STEM and how to incorporate it into the life of your young child. So the audience for this is parents of younger children, probably like the preschool range, but possibly older, dependent upon how much you've worked with your child so far. So, the goal here is to kind of start teaching parents how to teach their kids STEM through everyday experiences. I find that it's often difficult to get my, 3-4-year-old to actually do what he needs to do, but he's very fascinated in the world around him and how things work and why. So if I teach him some STEM, it gets him behaving better because he understands why we do things, simple things like brush our teeth or take baths. And it's also a great way to start introducing your child to science and other fields of STEM by teaching them to question and try to understand the world around them. A lot of people think that in order to teach your child STEM, you need to buy a kit or, do an experiment or something very, STEM characteristic. But science is everywhere around us, and you have the ultimate laboratory in your home, when you're out, when you're in your car, all these different places you can talk about and explore science and STEM because you are submersed in it. So one of the most important things you can do when incorporating STEM into your child's life is to start giving them the perspective of a scientist. So it's not just about the content, it's about the thinking process of scientists and engineers and how we look at the world around us, we ask questions, and then we try to answer those questions through data and analysis, observation, data analysis. So, this is kind of a unique approach to STEM. Instead of going out and purchasing a kit or something very clearly labeled as STEM, we can use the world around us as our toolkit. And it's great because that makes STEM very accessible to everyone at any time of any financial status. You don't need to spend a lot of money to be able to teach your child STEM. So I'm going to talk about how we can do that today. So first off, thanks so much for listening and supporting my endeavor to offer educational resources that are accessible to everyone. That's really of utmost priority. We teach kids STEM early, so I'm so glad that I have listeners with an interest in doing so. It's really important because STEM is everywhere and we encounter it constantly. So really, every person needs a basic understanding of the STEM they encounter day to day. And there's no more enthusiastic group of people than kids. So it's our responsibility as parents to really teach them and introduce them when they have that enthusiasm so that we build a confidence and a perspective that's unique. And whether or not they decide to become, members of the field of STEM for their career choices, it's still creating a more informed population, which can only benefit us going forward. The general format for this episode is going to be a bit of a discussion on how to incorporate basic STEM into your child's day. I plan to focus on a particular example in these types of episodes to give parents a bit of a platform and a little bit of knowledge to pass on to their kids. Don't worry, it's not like reading a textbook. You don't have to learn a ton of terms or new concepts. It's just to give you some, basic introduction to what you would need to start getting your child to ask questions about what's going on in the world around them. I find it more interesting if learning is interactive and we can learn through an example or an active process And I found that many students benefit from this approach as well. And it's been started, teachers and colleges, universities, secondary schools are all starting to incorporate more active learning, but it's actually quite difficult to do in the classroom because time's limited and active learning does take longer than just lecturing would. So it's really neat as parents to start exploring the process of interactive learning. Parents have been teaching their kids through active play for, centuries, and there's no reason that we can't do the same when it comes to STEM. So I really think too that STEM sticks with younger children if it relates to them and what they are doing. Let's not just teach kids random facts. Let's start to take what they understand, their worldview that they're trying to figure out as young children, and start incorporating bits of STEM into that worldview. So we're not taking them out of their world and putting them into a different setting that's STEM, STEM, STEM. We're bringing little bits of STEM into their world and teaching them how to incorporate it and relate it to concepts that they already know. Preschoolers and toddlers are really exploring a world, and everything's so complicated. It doesn't mean that STEM is any more complicated than what they're seeing, because they already don't know all the things around them and what they are and what they mean. So it's a great time to just start introducing little bits of STEM, just like you would. There's research to support that learning a language as a young child it's a good time to do it. It's the same thing with STEM. We're introducing some basic terms, introducing some basic concepts, and getting them to use it in their day-to-day. It shouldn't seem any more complicated than anything else a preschooler encounters, considering that it's taught in a way that they can relate back to their own worldview. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, knowing why we do things or how they affect us also helps toddlers and preschoolers really understand the importance of what we do. Why do we eat healthy foods? Why do we brush our teeth? Why are we taking baths? Like things they may not want to do. It helps to give them some background as to why we're doing it so that as they grow, they start becoming more accustomed to doing these things in a happier mood. For the specific activity, I'm going to cover brushing teeth 2 times a day. Hopefully everyone's brushing their toddler and preschooler's teeth. Sometimes it's more enjoyable than other times. I find it's much easier to brush my almost 4-year-old's teeth than it is to brush my 2-year-old's teeth. So I would recommend this for a minimum of a 3-year-old, probably more like a 4 to 5-year-old. Depends on where your kid is in their behavior. And, everybody has to gauge their own child, but I started this at around 3. This takes, 2 minutes per toothbrush. You just chat with them about science while they brush their teeth, and you teach them the science of brushing. Your supplies that you would need would be whatever you brush your teeth with. You don't need anything else. And it's a great platform because when you brush your teeth, there's so many different concepts that are covered. So we could talk about chemistry, what teeth are made of, what toothpaste is made of, how it works. We could talk about microbiology, what are cavities, what are the bacteria in teeth. We could talk about math. We can count teeth. We can time the brushing and start to introduce time as a concept. We could count strokes on each tooth and make it a game. We could discuss engineering concepts such as the motorized toothbrushes versus a manual toothbrush, how they work. We can talk about circuits. Just to give you an idea, when I introduce my child to one of the motorized toothbrushes, instead of saying turn it on and off, I say let's close the circuit, let's open the circuit. And it's little things like that that start getting them thinking about engineering, or STEM, and then you can kind of build off that. So it's very small, nuanced things that get them thinking and starting to talk like a scientist, so that you can then elaborate on those terms and play with perspective as well. There's also a lot of physics. We can talk about the batteries in toothbrushes. We can talk about charging a toothbrush. We can talk about the forces used, the directional forces, all different kinds of things. So I'll probably focus a little more on the chemistry today, because I think it's not easy, but it's kind of visual, and it leads nicely into the reason why we brush our teeth. And then if this is popular, I can make more of them that talk about the physics, the engineering, the math, all that. So for some important key points when you're teaching a young child from 1 to 4, you want to keep it brief. You don't want to lecture or keep going when they've lost interest. I can keep my child's attention for a few seconds at a time when I'm teaching them something new. So it's being very brief. That's why terms are really great. Teaching them chemical formulas or names of common compounds is great, because it's one brief phrase or sentence that you're introducing into their daily discussion. And that's, very easy to keep their attention. Another key point is you should be really fun. Kids learn the best through active play and through having fun. So you can make up games, you can do all different kinds of things, but the goal is to keep it light. Repetition is very important. At all ages, repetition is important. You'll even notice in this particular talk that I repeat things constantly. We don't typically absorb things when we hear them the first time or the second. Usually it's around the third time we hear something that it starts to be cemented. So with little kids, it's the same thing. Repetition, repetition, repetition all the time. And then something that I have observed with my 3-year-old is that, and my 2-year-old, is that they love it when you relate it back to their world. They're absorbed in their tiny little world, and they are constantly like, oh, this looks like something that I know very well. Oh, I see a circle. A ball is a circle, because they play ball all the time. So it's about relating the new topics back to something they know, so that there's a familiarity and they're able to comprehend it and then also apply it. Don't pressure your kids. This is just to get them introduced to STEM. It's to get them excited about STEM. It's to get them thinking about STEM. It's not to make them child geniuses that are immediately going to college at 7. If you're going to pressure them, then it's going to stress them out and they won't get the benefit of this. In fact, you could have the opposing effect that STEM becomes overwhelming and challenging. And then, we're not introducing it in a positive way, and we're not bringing more people into STEM and keeping them there. We're overwhelming them and we're scaring them off. So the goal is just don't pressure them. If my child doesn't understand the ABCs the first time I teach it to them, I don't get angry and yell at them. I give them time and we reapproach it later. Same thing with STEM. If they don't understand it, don't get annoyed or frustrated with your child. That's the number one goal as a teacher, is to be understanding, and you gauge your student or your child and try to determine where they are in their learning experience. And if they're not ready for what you're talking about, first try to explain it in a new way. And if that's still not working, take a step back and try again at another time in a new way. So again, don't get frustrated. Don't get annoyed. It doesn't matter if your child doesn't understand. The goal is to get them acclimated to hearing these terms and start introducing them to STEM in a fun way. If they don't get it, they're not ready for it. Try again later. So we want to make learning accessible. Let all students, especially our children, progress at their own pace. Every child learns differently as well. So you'll need to figure out specifically how your child learns. This is one of the biggest challenges as a teacher, especially a teacher that's interested in an individualized approach to teaching. I have tutored and taught at either the high school level or the college level, thousands of students, it feels like. So I've always made an effort to understand their individual learning style. And it's one of the reasons that I feel I am unique as a teacher. So most teachers don't have time or the resources to examine each child in the way they learn. As a parent, you have the unique opportunity to watch your child, understand how they learn, and then apply new techniques that fit that. So it's a very big trial and error, but once you start to grasp the benefits of individualized teaching, your child can only benefit. So as some examples, some younger kids like singing songs, some like it when you tell silly jokes, sound effects. My kids love it if I make sound effects. And it's a good way to break up complicated concepts. You're talking about the chemical formula of toothpaste, make a little shoomp noise when you squirt out the toothpaste. It gets them giggling, and then you can reel them back in and start talking about STEM again. Some kids like visuals, drawings or videos. It really depends on the kid. Some kids like numbers. One of my kids loves numbers. So I can do a lot of math with him and he immediately picks it up. And so I lean into that aspect of most of my STEM talks. The only way you can do it is to really try a bunch of different things, see what sticks, see what gets your child excited. That's the real goal here, is to introduce STEM in a fun way and try to teach them something along that process. And the easiest way to do that is to watch them and see how they learn best and then start applying that. Another useful point is that you should ask your child a lot of questions. One of the things that my child struggled with was asking questions. He would not always use the proper format when asking questions, so I try to ask a lot of questions and teach kids how to format those questions in a way that the person they're asking would understand. And it's a great way to also see where your child's understanding is. So keep asking them questions. They'll be answering the questions, and you can use that as your metric to determine whether or not they get it. Because if they don't and they're overwhelmed, they often just won't answer anything. Sometimes you have to teach them how to say, I don't know. It's just a good way to introduce a lot of different things that we need to teach our kids. And then get them participatory. Make sure you're asking questions so that they participate and it's a banter versus just a lecture. So, a lot of parents might wonder, where does my level of understanding need to be? It can really be anywhere. If you're new to STEM, STEM Factually can help with a base understanding so that you can introduce terms and basic concepts if you're not already familiar. If you're not new to STEM and you know these things, then it's great to try to take our perspective, but add your approaches and knowledge to them. Your kids will be so excited to learn from you in a way that you find interesting and familiar. I also really like to teach mine and relate what we're learning back to what we've done, my husband and I have done in our careers, because it really helps the kids to understand, okay, this is what my parents are doing when they go to work. Now I understand a little better, because it can be very daunting trying to understand what parents are doing and where they're actually going and what the point is of working when they're very young. If you're a patron on Patreon, I answer questions on the Discord that you would gain access to. We can share experiences. I really appreciate perspectives or ideas for other videos to make or podcast episodes to make like this. You can also share your outcomes with me on Twitter or Instagram, or you can email me through the form on my website. All those links are on our profile page. So let's delve into the example finally. Let's do 3 days of lessons. I'll do each day as a set of 2, as if I'm teaching my child, and then I'll pause and talk about the key points before going to the next day's set of 2. Then we'll reflect and discuss what we did. So day 1, I'm getting ready to brush my child's teeth for the first time in the morning. So I'm going to pretend as though I'm talking to the child so that you'll be able to observe what I would do for this type of lesson. All right, it's time to go brush your teeth. Do you want to help me put the toothpaste on the brush? Good job. What color is the toothpaste? And hopefully your child would say the color of the toothpaste. This toothpaste is white. Do you know what makes it white? It's titanium dioxide. Can you say that? Titanium dioxide. Wow, good job. You learned some chemistry? How did you know chemistry? All right, brush those teeth. Scrub, scrub, scrub. What's your toothpaste taste like? Strawberries? Wait until you hear what makes that taste like strawberries. It's called, now this is a tongue twister, ethyl methyl phenyl glycidate. Wow, that's a tongue twister. You try to say it. That's a great job. All right, let's spit out the toothpaste now. Hey, look, do you see the white toothpaste? Do you remember what makes it white? Titanium dioxide, that's right. That's a lot easier to say than methylphenyl glycidate, isn't it? Oh, ethyl methyl phenyl glycidate, isn't it? Day 1, set 2 before bed. Okay, let's brush our teeth again. Do you want to talk about chemistry again? Okay, great. Me too. Do you remember what makes toothpaste white? Yeah, titanium dioxide. Good job. Let's get some on your brush and let's brush those teeth. Do you know what your teeth are made of? Your teeth are made of hydroxyapatite. Can you say that word? Hydroxyapatite. Good job. Scrub those teeth with toothpaste really well. The enamel on your teeth is made of hydroxyapatite. Okay, spit out the toothpaste and we'll do this again in the morning. Maybe we can learn some more chemistry. All right, so for some reflection, note we introduced some basic terms. Terms are very easy to introduce because they sound different than what your child has heard before. It catches their interest, it gets them to interact because they can say it back to you, and it's a 1 or 2 word phrase you can bring up easily without much context. The terms sound complicated, but terms like hydroxyapatite are no different than saying the bread you're eating is made of flour. It's just a longer word with less common letter combinations than you are accustomed to. To your child, all words sound complicated. Hydroxyapatite is no weirder than the word spaghetti, and no one's ever thought we should save the word spaghetti for grad school. So get your child introduced to these terms. Don't be scared by the terms, and don't really worry if you pronounce them wrong. You can always go back to your child and say, I was saying hydroxyapatite, but it's hydroxyapatite. And you can make a little rhyme or a silly joke. It's good to show that even though these things sound, or even though these topics are difficult and we will make mistakes, it's not a big deal and it shouldn't scare us off. We just learn how to correct what we did incorrectly and we shrug it off and move on. It's nice because when you do make a mistake, you actually remember the concepts a lot better if you don't use them for a while. It'll stick with you when you make an error. Note as well that I really keep it simple. We just say the basic term, Have them repeat it back, which is very important, and then maintain enthusiasm. Maybe get them to giggle in whatever way your child laughs. We keep relating back to the process so they don't stop brushing their teeth. The goal here is to get your child to brush their teeth, so we keep relating back to that. And it's also so that they understand there's a correlation between the content, the chemical makeup of the toothpaste and their tooth enamel, and then they'll hopefully remember that a little better when they go to brush their teeth next time. So you're kind of creating trigger moments. See the white toothpaste? What's it made of? Titanium dioxide. Oh, you're touching your toothbrush to your teeth. Do you know what your teeth are made of? Hydroxyapatite. So the goal is to try to get little triggers that make them think of STEM and then maybe ask some questions to you, which would be great. Okay, so for day 2, we're going to introduce a new term and relate to the whys of brushing teeth. So the first day was just like, what is happening? Now we're introducing whys. Day 2. Hey you, it's time to brush your teeth. Want to talk about some chemistry again? I'm so proud you're learning about why we brush our teeth. Okay, get that titanium dioxide white toothpaste on your brush. Great job. You know what else is in toothpaste? This is really the important part of toothpaste. Are you ready for the most important part of toothpaste? It's sodium fluoride. Can you say fluoride? Fluoride. Fluoride. You try it. Good job. Now spread it on those teeth. Fluoride on hydroxyapatite teeth. Nice job. Spit that out and let's go get breakfast. Day 2, run 2. Let's brush, brush, brush while we learn chemistry. You know the drill. Get that fluoride on the brush and scrub those hydroxyapatite teeth. Nice job. The fluoride reacts with the hydroxyapatite and makes fluoroapatite. Can you say that? Fluoroapatite. Fluoroapatite. Fluoroapatite is sturdy and resists the acid in the foods we eat. So when we brush our teeth, we are making our teeth stronger and preparing them for when we eat acidic foods like oranges or tomato sauce. That's pretty cool, right? Fluoride toothpaste plus hydroxyapatite teeth equals super teeth. All right, let's reflect. So you can see now why these terms are being introduced. We start to tie everything together and give it a point. You may ask why I added titanium dioxide in there. Why didn't I just start with sodium fluoride to start? Well, sodium fluoride is not what's contributing the color, and the color is a very visual thing. Also, your child at this point should know their colors. So, well, you know, white's not a color, it's a shade, but it's a visual shade that it's a visual concept that your child is able to put a label on. So they see the titanium dioxide is white and the toothpaste is white. So they start thinking about pigments and things like that. Why is everything white? Why is this color? Why is that color? It gets them thinking and asking, okay, well, if titanium dioxide makes toothpaste white, is the paint on the walls also titanium dioxide? So it starts to get them thinking. So we started to tie everything together, gave it a point, and that took 15 minutes total, and we've spent no money, and we did it while we were teaching how to brush teeth, etc. It's just a part of our regular day. For this round, we reiterated points again and started introducing concepts. And then we finalized with a concise point in an equation form, but made it silly because the concepts are a lot for a little person. So that's why I added in the super teeth. A lot of kids like superheroes. They like sing-songy, things like that. But we're starting to get them introduced to an equation format, and that when we add two reactants together, we can make a product. which is an important concept and a graspable one as well. Note as well that I wrap in words that I do not define. It is okay to not define every single word you say. Try to keep it simple and weave in new terms like I started weaving in enamel, and they can use context clues to start picking up on how to use those terms and when. And then on a bored day, you can talk about those extra terms. Hey, look, that's your enamel. Enamel is on the top layer of your teeth. Or they're chewing on their fork and you can say, oh, you don't want to scratch your enamel. Or now they're eating an orange and you can say, oh, remember when we protected the enamel on your teeth by brushing? Do you remember that? And then you can talk about floor appetite again. So you're weaving in words that kind of set you up later to then use those words and explain it bit by bit. So the last day we wrap up and we reiterate everything again, cement important topics. Day 3, morning brush. Okay, it's time to brush your teeth. Can you please put some fluoride toothpaste on your toothbrush? Great, thank you. Okay, now let's brush those teeth. Remember what the enamel is made of? No? I can help with that. It starts with an H. I think wasn't it hydroxyapatite? I think that was it. Okay, let's make some fluorapatite now. Do you remember how to do that reaction? Put the toothpaste right on your teeth and brush them really well. Brush every single tooth and coat it with the fluoride toothpaste. Great job brushing. So now we have fluoride toothpaste plus hydroxyapatite teeth equals fluorapatite coating on your teeth. Now they're sturdy and strong and protected from foods. Good job. Let's spit out that toothpaste. Day 3, evening brush. Want to make some fluorapatite again? Protect those teeth from the food we eat. Oh, good. I do too. So where do we start first? That's right. We get the fluoride. What else do we need? What's the other reactant? Yes, that's right. The teeth and their enamel. What's the chemical equation? Can you say chemical equation? Yeah, that's a long phrase, huh? Let's do it together. Fluoride toothpaste plus hydroxyapatite teeth equals fluorapatite super teeth. Good job. You're really learning. Nice job with some science. You've learned the chemistry of brushing your teeth. Are you excited? I'm pretty excited because I learned about the chemistry of brushing teeth too. I didn't know any of this before I taught it to myself. All right, so reflection. Day 3 is really cementing the concepts. I repeat everything again. I ask a couple of questions. Keep it fun, keep it concise, keep it interactive. And then also I share that I'm excited because I also did not know the details of brushing teeth. I had to look up particular molecular compositions, whatever it is that you had to do to kind of fill your bit of your day with some science. Teach them that you've discovered this and that you're excited about it. And the fact that you're exploring and looking for answers is very important too, because it shows a child that learning isn't just about going to school and reading books, that every day we should try to learn something new. And even as adults who aren't in school any longer, it doesn't mean that our journey of learning is done. So we're still learning. We're passing on what we learned to our kids, and we're encouraging that approach to everyday STEM. So this was a great example of a very simple way we can use STEM to introduce terms to then help kids understand the world around them. This is a really basic intro to the chemistry of teeth brushing, and it's so simple and so fast, and you can do it every single day and start getting your child into the habit of understanding, and then you can build off that every day. You can stack STEM. There are obviously limitations, and this is a simplified discussion of what is actually happening, right? But what's important is we are starting to initiate your child asking questions about the world around them, introducing terms so that STEM isn't a foreign language to them when they are in STEM-based courses, and offering them reasons why we do particular things in our lives. Our lives are full of STEM, and it's so important to emphasize that and teach the STEM that we see throughout our day. So don't stop after this lesson. Keep bringing it up and discussing it daily. Look up some extra facts and start weaving them in. Ask questions and have your child help you find the answers. Have them tell their grandparents or friends or family what they learned. Have them draw teeth when you're coloring and label the components. Just try to keep what they've learned and also expand on it slowly by adding little bits and bits of more information without forgetting to reiterate what you've already taught them in new ways. I can also add more talks as well if there's interest that's related to this. So to wrap up, thank you very much for listening. I would love to hear if you do implement this type of lesson to your daily routine, and I'd love feedback on not only how you felt it went, but how your child received it. Were they interested? Did they repeat back words? Did they totally shut down? Were they yelling because they hate to brush their teeth? You can share it on social media. Chat me on Discord if you're a patron, or email me on my webpage. And if you have a good story, I can share it on my social media as well. All right, I will add more pods like this to Spotify and Patreon, and I can focus more on different aspects like these mentioned at the beginning of the episode. I'm also open to any kind of daily STEM ideas that anyone would be interested in hearing about. These are really fun to put together, and I am very passionate about this approach. So please send your suggestions, and I will see what I can do. Thanks again. Please subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider checking out the options on Patreon. I'm very dedicated to this cause, and I am very interested in participating on Discord. So it's a useful and valuable benefit if you're really serious about teaching your child STEM and are looking for an extra bit of support or someone to ask for help with your why questions. I appreciate the support. Have a happy day.